So this team canvas is actually based on work that I've done in terms of organizational design. It takes into account team dynamics as well as different communication models, and it is built for the entrepreneur. So there's lots of team canvases out there. You'll be able to just Google it and download stuff. But this one is actually built for people to have conversations with anyone that they may hire, be it a contractor or an employee, doesn't matter. Any person that you may have in your team has to have the same meaning that you have when it comes to your business. And so we're going to take you through how to actually fill this out, and then you can actually do it for your own business. Okay, so is that shared?
We have, yes.
Great. Okay. So when we're filling this team canvas out, and you can use the PDF version, you can take the PowerPoint one and fill it in if you'd like on that and then print it out. You can actually have discussions with people based on the information that's in here. So the first thing that you start off with is your reason. So your company's reason. Why do they exist? What's your why? And what do you believe in? What is the belief system? So for me, it is I believe in happy human experiences. I believe that happy people are more productive people. In the case of a retailer, it would be to make sure that customers have products that they need. In a furniture factory shop, it could be that people have furniture and that they're providing homes for people, things that go into their homes. And then the next thing you would need to do is fill in your value proposition. And this is an example of a value proposition. So our company helps to do what and by what or how. How is that actually done? So your value proposition is your one-liner. It's almost like your elevator pitch. When you are standing around a braai, I always like to use this example. When you're standing around a braai and people are engaging with each other and somebody says, "What do you do?" What do you say to them? Do you tell them your reason to exist? Do you tell them the actual thing that you do, the product or service that you have, and how you deliver it to people? What is that shortened version? And that's the part that you would put into your value proposition.
We
Now,
just
the
have
next,
a quick question, sorry,
sure.
Melissa, in the chat. We are going to take Q&As later, but we are going to pop in some questions as it comes up in the chat. From Pietro Creer, is the reason to exist may be similar to MTP, which is the massive transformative purpose of the organization?
Yes, yes. That would be your higher purpose. So why are you doing what it is that you are doing? What change are you making in the world? That would be a nice explanation. But yes, it is your massive transformative purpose. All right, so the next thing we're going to go on to is, now that you know why you exist and you know how you're going about doing it, providing products when it matters, where it matters, then you're going to look at your capabilities. And your capabilities could be all the different work streams. So what are all the functions that's required in order for you to deliver on that value proposition? How do you make sure that you provide that service to your customers and that you're meeting the demands that's required? It could be things like your operations, your administration, finance, sales, marketing. You could need, business development if you're a new enterprise. You could have customer service that's important. What about your vendors and suppliers? Those are also important for you to add on there. People that manage your risk, legal. You could have advisors like coaches, mentors. That's also part of the capabilities for you to build and grow your business. And you could have referral partners. So people that are providing a referral service to you based on associated products. So those are all of the different capabilities that would exist in that business. Do we have any questions on this one? So the main thing that you need to put together is, or ask yourself is, how do I get my value proposition done? What are all of the things that's required? And then you're going to go on to your key activities. So on the left-hand side of the screen, we're going to look at what are all the functions or activities that's required. So when you look at the capabilities, and we'll take one of the capabilities like administration, it's one of the capabilities I dislike the most in my business. And what could be administration? It could be bookings of things, it could be invoicing, it could be doing emails, it could be for your marketing, it could be responding to social media, it could be posting things on social media, it could be executing your marketing plan. Now, you could actually go down into nitty gritties, but for the capabilities and for the high level canvas for your business, my suggestion would be you need to make sure what are the deliveries that you want from that capability. So if it's marketing that's a capability, what do you need from the marketing? What is the actual function? So do you need a marketing plan, and do you need marketing to be executed? Likewise for your sales, and the same goes for your like administration or operations. Operations could be making a product, delivering a product. And then you put on the who. So, and this is where you come back to that question where we wrote down who's in your team. All of those people that you wrote down should actually fit into this. Who are the people that you have in your team? And then what is the key metric?
Melissa, just a question from me. Sorry. Because I'm busy doing the activity as you go through it in my head. I can't write that fast. Is when I write down the team members I originally wrote down, and now I've done the capabilities, etc. Is it necessarily a good idea to write down all those team members if they cannot contribute or deliver on those capabilities that I've written down?
Well, then there's the question, should they be in your team?
Okay, thanks.
And all the who's, it could be a high-level canvas. So when we do this in big organizations, your strategic group of people, like the CEO and your operations managers, may have their own team canvas, and you would only have the operations managers' names in the who. When the operations manager, when that person takes this team canvas and does their own team canvas, then they'll have a breakdown of their particular team members' names. So you could have different levels of the same team canvas going across the entire organization or company. So once you fill in your who's, again, your service level agreement is extremely important, because what is the requirements? And then we're going to make sure we fill in the goals of the company. So I didn't mention this first because it's nice to know what currently exists in your organization if you already have one and you're not developing a new team, to see where the gaps are existing. Because people could be doing things in their in their work streams or in their functions, but it doesn't necessarily tie in to your strategic goals of the organization. And that's where it actually needs to match. So if you are saying that the marketing department or sales needs to bring in 50 new customers in for you, then how is that making sense in your strategic goals? And we need to make sure that your strategic goal is smart. So in the context of the 50 sales or 50 new customers, you need to make sure that you can accommodate for that 50 new customers in terms of operations, in terms of customer service, and you are actually mentioning it there in your strategic goal.
Melissa, Craig just has a question.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about your cascading hierarchy, if I can put it that way. So you spoke about starting with the the strategic executives, if you like, the executives with their strategic view on the outcomes as measured by the real goals of the business, I guess. Now, as you suggested a cascading hierarchy, but one of the more modern ways is more autonomous kind of holacracy. Have you seen that in action at all, Melissa?
Yes, so I'll mention that when we look at how we take this canvas and move it forward.
Awesome.
Okay. So just to add on to what Craig has said for now, when you're developing your reason and the fact that you need to have this company and you have this value proposition and you need to make it work, this canvas should actually give you as a business owner a sense of comfort that this is my plan, this is how I'm going to execute it with people that will support me. That people could either be in a hierarchy, depending on what kind of organization you have, or it could be your marketing team. And I'll take you through exactly how we can go about doing that as we go along. So once we've completed that, that's all of the performance measurements and the metrics, and this is the crux of operations and how you're going to get things done. On your right-hand side of your canvas is going to be the behaviors and values. Now, Liesl, if we share the values document with everyone, please, that would help. So this is a big question that lots of people ask me, and during a values workshop could take an entire day for groups of people. But what I've done for you is I've listed 200 options for you, and that's on the PDF that we're sharing with you now. And this is the values of your organization. So your ethos, this is the how you go about doing things. When you say you wanting to change the world in a certain way and you have the value proposition, what does it mean for you? And these are personal values that you actually exhibit as a human being and that all humans exhibit, but different things are important to different people. And so you need to figure out what is important for this company and in how we actually operate and how we communicate with each other. Now, one of the values could be, as an example, integrity. You could be in a accounting firm, and integrity is extremely important for you. Keeping customers' information safe, making sure that the points are in the right places when it comes to numbers, that you don't make capturing errors. Integrity is extremely important in this organization for you to function, for you to build trust with both your employees, with both your business partners, the people that you contract with, and your customers. And then the behaviors is, how do you actually display that value? So a lot of time you find people putting up these values. Everybody needs values, and when they're building these business models and business cases, they put up their values. It all looks very fancy, but how are you actually living those values out? So when we use the example of integrity, how do you display integrity? How do you expect other people to display integrity? If meetings is extremely important and punctuality is important, that's one of the behaviors that you would expect everybody to be on time. That's something that you need to make sure is out there and communicated in terms of how people carry themselves. And each of the values should then have an explanation of the behaviors. Now, another thing is you may have different teams, and different teams may have nuances on the values. And that's also an important thing to take into consideration, as well as perspective. So when we looked at that picture and everybody had different perspectives on what they were seeing, likewise, people have different perspectives on what values mean. I've dealt lots of, I wouldn't say disputes, but misunderstandings between people where somebody just didn't greet another person. And people would get very upset because they weren't greeted in the morning and nobody asked them how they were doing. And that's a simple thing. Yet the value of the organization or the company was that we respect each other. And then people felt disrespected. So if you don't have your behaviors and your values, or your behaviors explaining what your values are, and that is documented and understood by everyone, then you're not creating the same kind of meaning.
We have a very good comment here from Nora on this exact point you're discussing, where she says that the definition is critical. She has found a disconnect in some organizations between values and behaviors, or individual and team perception. So she's supporting very much that clarification in terms of those two elements.
Okay, so now that you have this canvas, right, we fill this in, looks very pretty. What do you do with it? So you can fill it in and then you can file it away and it'll all be very good. You'll know what it is, but you need to be able to use it. And you need to use it so that you can create meaning, and you can give meaning to what it is that you do in your business, what is expected of everybody in the team, and you will need to make sure that everybody understands the values and behaviors of the people within the team. Now, one of the ways, as we mentioned, is you could have a team of people that are coming in from different areas. You could be paying somebody to do your marketing. You don't necessarily have to hire someone. How do you use this canvas then when you're contracting with people? So a really good way is when you're having your first engagement with people, you use this document to explain what your organization is all about. You then have the discussion of saying, these are our goals, our ultimate goals of the business, and this is where I see you fitting in, and this is the service level agreement, or you start agreeing on what the outcomes is for that particular team member. Likewise, you would then be able to explain the things that's important to you in terms of values. And this is how everybody behaves when we work together in this team. Now, the other thing that you must also remember is that you could have freelancers or contractors that have many different companies. And when they have many different companies that they are working for, there's different kinds of values and different kinds of behaviors. And then they may have their own sets of values and behaviors. Another good example is, which I find very often, is between people in finance and people in sales and marketing. So people in sales and marketing always have a very big spin on, service, customer service, relationship management, and they are generally flamboyant people when they are engaging with other people and trying to make sales. When we look at people in the finance field or accountants, they're generally very, I wouldn't like to use the word rigid, but integrity is important to them. And so you have lots of clashes when it comes to values and behaviors, because people in sales like to embellish things, and people in finance like to make sure that this is what it is supposed to say, and it's black and white because those are the rules. Likewise for people in the legal environment. So it's good to take that point as a note when you are engaging with different people in organizations. Now, to Craig's point, when you have self-directed teams, and when companies are, that is the new way that the world is moving to in terms of self-directed teams, it's always good to make sure that teams can create their own canvas whichever team is being created for whatever given piece of work. In different methodologies in project management, when new project teams come together, they all have this kick-off meeting. And in the kick-off meeting, you actually then decide of what is our rules of engagement. When you have, if you think about training, if you've ever attended formal training, when you do formal training, people generally say, what is our rules of engagement? It's a simple thing of like saying, when do we need to go on break? When do we need to come back from lunch? Those are things that this particular group of people is agreeing on. And it's the very same when it comes to your key activities, what is required of you, your behaviors, and your values. Do we have any more questions on this one? Oh, we've got a comment. Yes, finance people are more reserved.